And good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Monday. Start of a fake week. So I thought I'd start this week off by talking to you about a pretty important subject, which often gets missed because we're so consumed by the density and the challenges within the third dimension, right? So today's Monday. Most people will be getting up for work. A lot of people are on school holidays with children and going about their day-to-day lives. And then within themselves are programs made up of lots and lots of algorithms. And that's the subject of conversation today, which is what I wanted to talk about, is programs and algorithms within the false matrix that actually makes up our reality and dictates our day-to-day life. So what I've done was I've used an amazing childlike sketch behind me. Excuse the poor lines and that. But basically what I wanted to do is use this little diagram as an example of how programs work simultaneously to control the mind. Because what we've actually endured pretty much since birth is copious amounts of mind control. And that's the reason why so many children are, like not forced, but programmed to go through the inoculation process. So we're full of all these chemicals and toxins. Then the education system, then the monetary system, medical system, law, etc., all engrosses us and basically encapsulates us into this false sense of being, which we then live our lives by, going day to day, running on these programs, propping all these programs up, and keeping our mind and our body pretty much within a box of illusion. So this is why I've done this box here. So we've got our friend Keith here, old Keitho, and his head is in a box, right? And we've heard the term all our life, haven't we, ladies and gents? Think outside the box, yeah? Well, this is exactly the reason why. So most people go day to day with their head literally in a box of illusion, and it's dictated by multiple programs. So you have the education system, you have the monetary system, you have the medical system, you have law, you have sport, you have media, you have science, and you also have history. Okay, and then the programs versions and how they're written. All right, each one of those programs is made up of multiple algorithms that keep the program running. Okay, but all these programs specifically all work all at the same time together to keep the average person's head in a box of illusion. So people get up in the morning, for example, to go to work because they need to earn money to pay for their bills, okay, that are pretty much all fake and illusionary as well, and come with copious amounts of fear attached to them. Children and young adults get up in the morning and they go to school or to college or to university to basically sit through indoctrination around subjects which are mainly left brain information to flood the mind with logic and reason based on what's being taught to them, often copy and paste exercises to create retention of that information so that they then use those programs in their own life. They go out and get their job to earn money based on the education that they've been taught. Okay, and then when we come in from home or school, etc., we're hit with copious amounts of media, propaganda, and often misinformation to again keep the mind flooded with whatever is wanting to be taught and shown to that population. All right. We then have the law, okay, which has been written in different languages to again keep people in a box, keep people in fear. We then have sport. And I say sport, although it's a fantastic thing to partake in, it's good exercise, etc., you've all seen through the actions of the World Cup recently that pretty much all top flight sports, as in top elite sports, have been hijacked. Okay, have been completely hijacked, are controlled by the media. Okay, controlled through money, controlled through fake science, obviously history, and obviously the laws that come around it. So if you look at top flight sport, for example, now every single sport has a governing body FIFA, motorsport, you know, boxing. They all have governing bodies, and people within those governing bodies have never really had anything to do with the sport whatsoever. Okay, so they're just carbon copies of your MPs in Parliament in a government. Okay, obviously we know the word government, control mind, is all there for a reason, and it's to do exactly that. Okay, so within these boxes of illusion that are created by all of these programs working together, that's why you have so many people. If you just go and stand in a supermarket, for example, and just look and observe, you can just see these boxes around people's heads running on a program, quickly dashing into the supermarket after a full day of work and a job that they don't like to earn money for bills that are completely fake and unlawful. E.g., we should have free energy anyway, and council tax is the biggest load of crap ever. To then rush home to get to the supermarket to pay for mostly poisoned food, fake food, etc., etc., etc. So this isn't me having a dig at those people. This is social engineering at its finest. So the whole idea of this, talk, the whole idea of me showing this diagram is for people to have the awareness of all of this, so you can see it in your day-to-day life. So you're not then controlled by the programs. You can see the threats, and this is what this is all about, right? The art of war, know thy enemy. So this is all created because of how powerful we are. All right, it's so important to keep your head in a box of illusion made up of all these different things working in unison, than to allow you to live your life to the fullest expression of who you are. Because who you are is a magnificent, powerful being of light that creates. Okay, and all of this is to stop you creating and to make you conform. Okay, make you go and work in that job to pay your tax and not question it. Make you sit there at night watching Netflix or the news or whatever it is and accept it. Okay, all the corruption that was in the World Cup on absolute full show, put in front of people's face, and people will accept it. Because what it all does is, no matter whether it's the strongest, most powerful program, it all comes with consent. I say, so we actually consent into all of these things that then keeps us in a box of illusion. And this is why I talk about the land so much and how powerful the land is, and that we need to reconnect with the land, because we've been engineered into a box-to-box life through the head and through the body, through living in council estates, living in housing estates, new build estates, all basically squished in together away from the land, while pretty much pedo lords and ladies like operate all these stately homes around the country with acres and acres and acres of powerful land, all right, with all their riches and everything else like that, while everybody else has to go to work, throw the kids out the door to get to school in the morning, for them to get indoctrinated, for you to go to a job that you hate, for somebody else to bring your kids up, for the family to then get sick from all the poison food and poison water, the copious amounts of devices, the copious amounts of electromagnetic frequency, the copious amounts of stress that is waged on every single family household just to survive, to get through life. That is a result of multiple programs working in unison all at the same time. So it's important to identify the programs and the algorithms that make them up, which you can then see, you can realize exactly what this realm is made up of and what it's designed to do. Okay, it's designed for first and foremost to harvest our energy, to use us as conduits, and basically deplete us of our life force. Okay, that's what this energy feeds off. Okay, it has to feed off it because it then makes us create what it wants. All right, AI cannot create. Archon AI cannot create. It can only infiltrate, manipulate the conduit to make them do the work for them. So prime examples, right? We live on this beautiful planet, which is a conscious being, Mother Earth, Gaia. Okay, but how do you bleed it? Well, you pay the human beings themselves to build oil platforms, oil refineries, and all these kind of things, to build windmills in the sea, which poison the water, distort the frequency, completely change the fishing streams. all right, pumps really negative frequency onto the land to dumb the people down. You get people mining their own resources, bleeding their country dry of its actual natural life force, its blood, right? And you pay them copious amounts of wages to do so. That's just one example. People in the military going to fight in wars that are engineered by the same people running the show on both sides. Okay, again, everyone thinks they're doing something of service, but you're getting the people to create that theater. Bitcoin, another thing that was created by people. AI use people to create Bitcoin by constantly feeding it. So very similar to the flat earth narrative, where everybody, like most people, were very much head was in the head was very much in the NASA globe marble fucking fake CGI Earth pictures, right? Until a point where suddenly people had these awakenings in 2020, and then basically everything that was anti-government, everything that was anti-NASA, everything that was anti any kind of authority or establishment, people were putting their attention to. So loads of people were jumping on the flat Earth train, right? This is very much a similar concept. It's like, oh right, yeah, that's not right, so this must be right. Again, it's all psychological operations to keep your mind in a box of illusion and not actually discovering who you truly are at the core. Okay, and then it keeps that division there, and it keeps people arguing. Funny enough, online on the very systems that they control. So this is why identifying this, the programs and the algorithms that feed them and make them work is so imperative. So let's use an example, right? I just mentioned it, the 9 to 5 job, right? So the 9 to 5 working life, okay? It's the same template, it's the same program that's used in every Western country, pretty much, right? Any country either where people pay tax, national insurances, or their versions of, and things like that to the governments, have a 9 to 5 program. Now, the 9 to 5 programs are mostly the same. The percentage of people in those 9 to 5 jobs is very large who hate their job, right? And that can, often in construction, corporate, things like that, people are seeing their working environment for what it is. Often in these environments, it includes a ladder, a pyramid, somewhere to go, right? So just as like the MPs and the royals and everything else see themselves up at the top of the pyramid and us bottom feeders at the bottom, it's a very much same kind of thing, whether you're in the military, corporate, civil service, whatever it may be. Wherever there's a ladder in that environment, you will always be surrounded by inauthentic people. They could be the nicest people in the world, but you're surrounded by inauthentic people. And it's because there's a ladder system there. So when people are in that environment, in those frequencies, yes, they might be good at their job, etc., but there's always somewhere else to go. So you find people come from a place of inauthentic because there's a place to get to. It doesn't mean they're an arsehole all the time. I've seen it in the military forever. People have seen it in the corporate world. Wherever there's a ladder to climb, people will do what they need to do to climb that ladder. Okay, and that's been set up by the program. But the algorithms that make up that program are: you take the same route to work every day, pretty much, or to school, right? You use the same mode of transport. You start at the same time. You finish at the same time. You take lunch every day, or you get lunch there. Emails, like all this kind of stuff. All these things that make up that day. The time you get up in the morning, the time you got to get the kids out of school, all this kind of stuff. They are the algorithms that make that program, that 9 to 5 program. And the 9 to 5 program is what encapsulates you and restricts you in your life completely, because you're only ever going to earn a certain wage. All right. And that's why so many people in so many industries are out freaking pizza delivering. The amount of blokes in the army, the military, who are doing second jobs because they're not paid enough is mental. It will blow your mind, right? Students, like, having to do all this pizza delivery driving, Just Eat, all this kind of shit. Again, a program that's using another program to run off. It is absolutely mad. So you're only going to earn a certain amount of money. Okay, that comes with a certain amount of stress. So when you go home and you haven't got enough money because you've paid all your money on council tax, bullshit food, fake food, you've ridiculously poisoned water bills, a subscription for absolutely everything, right? So just to have Spotify, Netflix, YouTube, your internet, your TV, your mobile phone, all this kind of stuff, you're looking at the best part of 100 to 150 pounds just a month, just to even use all those things, right? Then you've got all your ridiculous bills. So most people are sitting there forced to at night to watch Netflix, to be belt fed more programs, buy programs on the TV, while sitting there mostly drinking, mostly eating shit food, because that's what they show you on the adverts to trigger your mind, the commercials during the programs. And then people are putting on weight, people are becoming sick, people are getting even more stress because they're asking themselves, what the fuck am I doing here? How is this life? How is this normal? And they don't have the answers. So that becomes even more stressful. And that's why we have an island here, especially in UK, but I've seen it in Australia, the same in New Zealand, same in the United States, Canada, and most of Europe. So many people now are ridiculously sick, unwell, stressed to high hell. And it's not just because of all the COVID jabs. You know, the COVID jabs have played their part, but those who had the shots have then topped them all that up with all these poisons and programs and algorithms totally taking over their mind and creating all this mind control. All right. So it's not, we don't have to point at all of the shots all the time. I know plenty of people who didn't have them that are very much engrossed in these programs. Okay. So this is why going through examples like this is really important so that you can see the programs running within people's realities, and how they actually negatively affect people. It keeps people so engrossed, right? Obviously, I talked about sport earlier. You only have to look at the weekends and how engrossed it gets, mainly the male mentality, because it's creating a form of escapism. Because the guy hates his 9 to 5 job on the tools all week, so and he hates then coming home to just going like, fucking hell, I'm only good enough to like pay bills, and you know, when my thumb up my ass, I haven't got a relationship with the missus, the kids are mental. Like, what the fuck is the point in all this? So what do most blokes do? They turn to drink, vaping, cocaine, anything that people can get their hands off, and then obviously use football as an escapism away from the missus, away from the kids, away from the stress, away from the frequencies, and then rinse and repeat every week. And then the little bit of money they did have left, they pummel into accumulators to try and make more money because that's what they feel they're good for, right? And we're seeing this absolutely everywhere, and it's all being dictated by this, the power of the illusionary programs that all work together to keep the mind in a box, to keep the body living in a box, running on repeat, completely harvesting your life force, right? And that's why you see so many people in your family literally running on these programs consistently. And you've tried so hard, haven't you? You've tried so hard to wake them up. You've tried so hard to shake them. You've stood back and observed, and it's just got you more angry and more angry and more angry. But the fact is, like, it's not our role to wake anybody up. It's our role to work on ourselves. It's our role to see the programs and the illusions as part of removing the veils from our own consciousness. And when we can see the weapons, we can see the arsenal that's being used against us. You can see your own strengths being used against you on a daily basis, i.e., the power of your consciousness, the fact that we create absolutely everything. Okay, we create the fear, but we could also create the love. Okay, and that's what this does. It uses our abilities to individually and collectively create and manifest fear into reality. And every single one of these things brings fear. Okay, all of this doesn't bring joy, bliss, and higher dimensional timelines, right? That's the whole point of this, is to keep you in a 3D shape, a 3D box of illusion. And all the programs work together. And all the programs are made up of multiple algorithms, as I've just shown you here. So I'm asking you guys, have a little think to yourself. Like, what programs can you think of that you can clearly see that just run simultaneously, that are fueled daily, that are made up of multiple algorithms? Because there's multiple programs within each of these programs as well. Obviously, money is one of the biggest things. Money affects absolutely everybody. Okay, time is obviously the other thing. Fake time, tie me to this illusion. Okay, we live in a realm that's been dictated by the Gregorian calendar and false time. Okay, what this does is it completely discombobulates, word of the day, your whole circadian rhythm. You're out of sync literally throughout the clock or their clock. Okay, your serotonin, your melatonin chemical exchanges in the pineal gland and the head get completely changed and switched around. Like, we should be waking up at like 3-4 a.m. going straight into creative mode. All the greatest scholars and mystics and writers and creators were all up at this time creating whatever it is that they were here to create. All right, your Pythagorases, your artists, like all these amazing creative people were all up at this time, because that's when the melatonin is at the strongest in the head, in the pineal gland. And obviously when your pineal gland is active, your third eye activates, which creates and illuminates greater sight, greater clarity, greater intuition. Okay, where all the great ideas come from. All right, so by you having 8 hours sleep because you need to get up for work the next day, you need to be up at a certain time, dressed by a certain time, fed by a certain time, out the door by a certain time, at work by a certain time, and you're in work to a certain time until you get home, and then you might be in your own time. Or kids getting belt fed copious amounts of homework to do in their own time, reinforcing that false education. So we're dictated by this whole thing of time. So if you're feeling time's all over the place at the minute, like you're literally like, what the fuck, I don't even know what time it is, I don't know what day it is, this, that, and the other, it's for a reason. It's because your actual body is going through a quantum shift, like outside of the 3D illusionary time matrix that's been waged over us, and keeps us controlled by all of this. Okay, so you have all these programs, but you also have time sitting up there on top, because time dictates all of this, and it dictates people. So part of this like ascension journey, or your individual ascension journey, is moving through all these veils of illusions, all these boxes of illusions, into what time really is to you. Okay, where are you in this dimension? Are you grounded in these frequencies? Are you grounded in this mental state, this spiritual state? And when you are, you'll find time is completely different, because you've broken through those veils of illusion. All right, that system's collapsed in your realm. But it's also important that we fully identify it, we fully feel it in the body, we fully understand it, because then we can see it running absolutely everywhere. You can see every program. Go to a supermarket, for example, just stand when you first walk in. You can literally watch everybody with one of these boxes on after work, going like that around the aisles, just going woo, 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 like a train, like that, just running on a program, all running on programs. That's nothing against the people; they're all beautiful people, okay? But it's the programs that encapsulate it all that keep the systems running. So Tesco, McDonald's, Starbucks, the banks, the chemists, like all of these very much 3D things that poison us or keep us in an illusion, they only exist because of the programs running through the people to keep them propped up in the first place. None of this exists without these people working there. None of this exists without these people feeding these systems. So it's important to keep as many people's minds and bodies and souls in a box of illusion at all times. Okay, what we're experiencing now is the old system's grip on humanity struggling to contain the amount of people who are seeing through it all. Okay, and that's happening en masse. That's why people who are in an awakened state, or having a spiritual awakening, and that's at different speeds for everybody. I know people right now are literally going for an awakening phase. It's just happened in the last few weeks, and it's like grenades have gone off on their head, and they're actually struggling with it all. And this was always going to happen. So count your blessings if you opened your eyes to all this stuff a long time ago and have been able to kind of see it for a good amount of time to understand where you fit and how you feel in your realm versus what we've been brought up in, right? So we also need to take care of these people, guys. You know, we need to show these people love. We need to show them affection, and we need to help them understand that we are surrounded by programs and algorithms on a daily basis, like throughout the entire day, whatever time you may feel that is. It's still happening. It's still going on, all right, and people are still very much engrossed in it. The majority of people that are engrossed in it are supposed to be engrossed in it. They are what we call your NPCs. All right. Again, there's nothing wrong with these people. Just like the Truman Show, they are all there for you. You know, there's something I've really realized over the last few weeks and months, is that NPCs aren't annoying people. They're not a pain in the ass. They're not, oh, look at the fucking state of him, like propping up the systems. Right? All of these people have to be there as actors to show you the act so that you can awaken to the dream. Okay? That I truly believe that all NPCs have a fractal part of a soul, right? They're not completely soulless. And that fractal part of the soul is actually their beacon to returning home to their soul when their job is done in our reality. All right? So humanity who are on an ascension path awaken to all the fears, illusions, and false matrix and collapse it. At the same time, the NPCs return to their soul because their job is done. And for me, that's a very beautiful way of it all happening. All right. You know, you hear stories and prophecies of like the background characters just dropping dead because their time's up. That doesn't work for me. And I'm not saying that because I just want to have compassion for humanity, because my love for humanity is second to none, and those who know me well will know that, right? But for me, it makes more sense that every one of the NPCs, whether it be in a supermarket, in a bank, in a chemist, in a school, whatever that may be, right? They're all playing their part in our reality. They're all actors in our reality, so that we see all these illusions, we see all the programs, we see all the matrix for what it is, okay? And then we can literally hijack ourselves, if not ghost ride a long time, the matrix programs in our own way, very much with one foot in the 3D and in higher realms, and actually living a human experience here on Earth, just in much higher frequencies, beyond the programs, beyond the algorithms. And that's how we live in a joy state. That's how we live in a bliss state. That's how our heart expands. That's how our intuition grows stronger. That's how we then start manifesting and creating all the things that we need to for our journey, including money, including the ability to travel, including the ability to use our gifts, which are coming online rapidly for everybody right now. Okay, everyone's receiving what they need to receive at this time. And that includes the education. That includes jumping on these lives and just learning something new each day that's a jigsaw piece for your jigsaw puzzle. Like, that's all. That's as simple as this is, ladies and gents. So I hope my perfectly created 3D diagram, right? I was clearly trained by Monet. Has kind of added some visual help for you this morning, and that what I've explained about programs and algorithms, you'll be able to take with you and integrate like today and into your days going forward. And then you'll be able to see it with your own eyes, right? In multiple places, all running at the same time. And when you can see everything, you can't unsee it, right? And that's the point of these daily talks, is just giving you little bits of like real-time upgrades really in your consciousness, to help you then go about your day and then step into those higher realms of reality, step into those days of bliss, step into those days of joy. We're releasing all of the old stories that we've held in our body, all the old traumas, all the old lives, okay? And that we're actually now fully embodying what we've learned about ourselves, okay? So many people have gone out and done past life regressions and this kind of stuff, etc., etc. You know, they're amazing, but it's like, but what are you doing in this human experience with those traits of those beings and experiences that you've had multiple times, right? So if you're some galactic commander forever or whatever, or you're in the military, or you're from Arcturus, or you're this or you're that, blah blah blah, Like, what are you doing in this human experience, embodying all those gifts and powers and traits? That's the goal. It's easy for me to sit here going like, yeah, I was a fucking warlord, mate, in the Viking days, and da 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 da, and I brought the thunder, and you know what I mean. And what that's not serving me in this life, is it? What would serve me is me being that commander, being that leader, being that warrior, being that strong soul, being that person to lift people up, being that person to educate people, being a leader, all these kind of things in this human experience. That's what's really important. Okay. And then the more we learn about all this kind of stuff and the false matrix, and actually how this realm actually works, how the programs work, and how our reality actually works, you'll live your life in a higher realm, but in the human experience. Because, ladies and gents, that's what we've all come here to do. We've all come here to have human experience, and it's easy to forget that sometimes. I've done it myself. It's easy to forget we've come here for a human experience. No one's better than us. No one's above us. No one's below us. We are literally all side by side with each other, incarnated into this planet, predominantly as light workers first, right? Just like in the military, we're a soldier first, all of us. You are a soldier. Okay, if you're watching this, you are a soldier. People who are propping up the systems aren't watching my content. People watching my content are awakened souls who are stepping into those next higher realms of consciousness. That's why you're watching this video, because it's helping you get the jigsaw pieces you need for your next steps of evolution, for your connection to your higher strands of DNA. That's why you're watching this content. So I hope it's helped you this morning on this fine fake start to the week. And I'm sure this week, having experienced very powerful energies this weekend at my last breathwork course down south at the retreat in Christchurch, which is actually at the base of the 33rd energy line, which runs up through Salisbury, Stonehenge, up through Barnard Castle, up through Scotland, past Aberdeen and into the North Sea. That the next sort of weeks ahead, I think, will be really powerful for us all. And it's a case of, for me, tapping into all of that and how you connect to all these energies, tapping into more of your intuition, trusting yourself, creating, right? What are you building right now? The minute we get up in the morning, me and Corin, to the minute we go to bed, pretty much, it's all about what we're creating here. And that's one of the reasons why I'm not doing events down south anymore, because we really want to turn this place into this powerful rehabilitation, healing and education center that continues to grow, that's for a whole community to use, for people to come to be the butterfly in the butterfly garden and to leave being able to spread their wings. Like, that is what we're trying to create here. And because we're on that train, we're in that mindset and we're in those frequencies, it's evolving for us. Yes, it does come with challenges and all these kind of stuff. So whatever you're doing, like, understand it is going to come with challenges. But they're challenges that are for you. It's not to throw you off track. It's not to deter you. Again, it's all there for you. We're not going to be given an easy ride. And because we signed up for that at the end of the day, we signed up for a rough ride. Right? I was literally talking to Corin about it this morning, having like been through a broken marriage as a kid, the oldest of 4 boys, having to grow up early, joining the military, going to war, seeing the most fucking brutal things I've ever seen in my life, the ups and downs, break up of my own marriage, leaving my children, traveling around the country, helping people like week in, week out with all their emotion, like all of these kind of stuff, right? I'm just like, holy crap, if I even tried to put that down into like a diary, it would be like those massive rows of encyclopedias that your auntie used to have back in the 90s on a bookcase. So it's like we've all been through these crazy times, right? Because we signed up for it, and we need to give ourselves more credit and more benefit and more love to the fact we did sign up for that. We signed up for all of this, right? No matter what life choices you've made up until now, we've signed up for it because it was to teach us all the greatest lessons. And I know a lot of our family and friends are going through a lot of lessons at the moment. And a big lesson I've had from that is needing to step back, completely step back from all of the quite rapid awakening I think that like a lot of my family members go through, and not stick my nose in and come from a place of judgment and actually just observe them on their healing journeys themselves, because that, ladies and gents, is so much more powerful. It really is. So enjoy the rest of your fake week, whatever you're doing, ladies and gents. And if you're going to take anything away from today's talk, like, just like ask yourself the question, what am I creating? Is it for my highest good? Is it for the highest good of humanity? And if you're on that train, you're on that railway track, you're absolutely heading in the right direction. All right, back to your crown, back to your sovereignty, and back to who you truly are. Enjoy the rest of your day, boys and girls. Drop us a comment if you watch this back later. Let us know if it helped you. And if you want to go a little bit deeper in any of the work that you do with yourself, your communities, your education, stuff like that, just come and visit our website, missionconsciousness.com. We've always got so much going on. All my breathwork courses in the future are going to be run from here at the fort, as we're expanding it. So if you want to be part of something magical, you want to learn more about breathwork facilitation and taking that first step to more courses, I've got one running on the 12th of September here at the fort. I can only do a maximum of 8 people, but you get an absolutely amazingly gorgeous organic cooked lunch by myself. And I've got my level 2 advanced breathwork, which is in November now, which is 4 days, 3 nights, where you'll be staying in this amazing accommodation with hot tub, pool table, and all that kinds of stuff like that in November. And we also have 3 cabins left for those who want to go deeper to work with medicines and us and that realm in September in Portugal. So there's always loads going on. We're always trying to provide lots of different ways and means for people to step into their true sovereignty and the power of who they truly are, because that journey is completely different for every single person. It's not one size fits all, as I'm sure you've already experienced, boys and girls. But from me, adios. Go and smash it. Go and be awesome. And I'll see you tomorrow for another daily dose of reality. Much love.